Hi, hello, and welcome into your least favorite Drag Race content creators channel. My name is Jer, and today I'm going to be doing probably a very controversial top 10 fashions from RuPaul's Drag Race. We are talking about season 11 today, and I'm already going to pre-warn you, this top 10 is pretty much dominated by the same people. There's very little diversity of who I chose for my top 10 looks, because to be honest, this season was sort of reminiscent of like season 2 and 1, where it was sort of a lot of wet seal clothes for a season that was so big and had such big impact. I didn't really feel like a lot of the fashions had that impact. Not to say that they were bad, they just didn't make me go, woo, you know? So without further ado, let's jump in here, and y'all can be mad, but try to be respectful as you can. In the number 10 slot, we have Yvie Oddly's very best drag look. The three titties were very popular at this time, and they remained popular for a couple years. We kind of don't see this anymore, but I think for Yvie, this was a really good look. It was very clean and polished, but it was so weird and freaky. And that is Yvie's brand, and I think it was a really nice way to encapsulate her journey on the show. In the number 9 slot is Brooklyn Heights' promo look. This was color blocking. And first off, I just want to say the shoulder pads are really giving me life. I love that Brooke leans in on this sort of 80s aesthetic, but brings it into modern. This is really how you do modern retro. Not that the 80s were even that long ago, but you even see on the boots this velvet, which was very popular fabric in 80s. You've got this really cool, interesting bodysuit with these color pops that are so strong. The slicked hair, she looks like she's here for business. And I think it really set up what Brooke was there to do. In the number 8 slot, we have Miss Vanjie for Orange Alert. Now, there were some really good looks during Orange Alert. This was probably one of my absolute favorite runways in this season. What I loved about Vanjie here was that she broke away from some of the colors that we had seen. Obviously, she still has some red in here with the blood orange. She really was trying to make red, I think, her stamp. But she looks so good in this color, and I wish we would see Vanjie in more colors during this particular season. I love the showgirl element to this. I think she looks really fun and different. And to be honest, I love Vanjie's shiny chest with all of the glitter and accoutrements. I think she looks cool. The feathers look cool. Vanjie looks cool here. In the number 7 slot is Yvie Oddly's Witch Please look. It really lives in my brain all the time. When I think of that particular challenge, that Halloween runway was a little despicable. I really didn't feel like any of those categories showed what people's best drag were, and I have a lot of thoughts on how that could have been better, but this look was so good. Yvie coming around that corner and just looking kind of terrifying was not something we had really seen on Drag Race before. We haven't really had anybody like this since Redacted from season 4. So it was really nice to see someone come out and just be creepy and scary and be willing to go for it, especially in a witch category, where I feel like a lot of people sort of played it safe. In the number 6 slot is Brooklyn Heights in the Farm to Runway. I know that this is something that she made here and not something she brought, but Brooke looks freaking incredible. The incorporation of the orange slices is probably one of my favorite things, because when you see the materials given to the queens, sometimes they give them really shitty things. Like, I specifically think of the potatoes that they gave to Boa in Canada. I think about how Adora got spaghetti. There are some really odd things that they give these queens, and they can't always incorporate those materials into their clothes. The fact that Brooke was able to create earrings, create an interesting brooch for the belt, a ring, a bracelet, something on the purse, even on the shoe details, using this really odd, unconventional material in a way that was very high fashion, forward thinking, and interesting. On top of this blue, where blue and orange are complementary colors, this was really brilliant, and I loved every second of it. In the number 5 slot is Yvie Oddly's Farm to Runway. This was a really great runway category as well. I loved what most everybody did. It was kind of a crime to me that Yvie did not win this particular challenge, because I think from the hair all the way to the shoes, well, maybe not the shoes, from the hair to the ankle, everything is really smart and well styled, well put together, well constructed. I couldn't even tell you what these materials were, but they look really cool. And I love that she looks like coral. She looks like she came straight out of the ocean. And I love the way that she was able to put all this together. Evie looks really badass. And I love the incorporation of all these odd materials to make something that does look very fashion. In the number 4 slot is Sugarcane Sequins on the Runway. I wanted to put this higher up because I'm a big Sugarcane fan. I think she was criminally underrated in her time on Drag Race. I really don't feel like RuPaul understood where she was coming from or liked where she was coming from, but she always was delivering really good packages, or significantly better than what some of the other people that Ru was favoring were doing, in my opinion. And I think this eggplant purple looks stunning on her. Put some respect on your mother freaking mouths when you talk about Sugarcane. Love how Latina she looks. Love the incorporation of these flowers. It looks expensive and heavy, and it looks like it could be on a Met Gala runway. And when we're talking about fashion, this looks like something that a rich celebrity would wear, so I'm obsessed with it. In the number 3 slot is Yvie Oddly's fringe look. Much like how I've complimented people like Manila in the past, someone like Alona Verley, Yvie did a really good job of theming couture. Having a fringe look be a theme of a jellyfish was incredibly brilliant. Really smart thinking here from Yvie Oddly, even to painting her hands and her body to match the costume was also smart, because a lot of people would just go out and do their normal makeup with this, but the fact that Yvie painted everything to make sure every detail was covered, I think that was so smart. There's a lot going on and there's not really much of a silhouette, but I think it looks great, and especially using the parasol to create a extra illusion of the jellyfish head, that was smart. I think Yvie looks cool here, and that's kind of my buzzword for Yvie, is she's always looking cool. It's cool ways of looking at fashion and of addressing fashion, and I think she really hit the nail on the head with this. In the number 2 slot is Ms. Vanjie, once again for the What's Your Sign category. This was a lousy runway prompt because I don't think they necessarily screened for how many queens were going to come out with the exact same sign. And it makes sense because drag queens are bombastic and energetic and definitely a little more extroverted, so those signs are going to present themselves more than someone that might be a little more reserved. But what I really love about this is just how big and grand it is with the scales too. I remember seeing a leak from season 11 and there was a photo from Untucked, and I remember seeing Vanjie sitting there and just thinking that this silhouette was so fascinating because I didn't expect Vanjie to come out in something like this. And the reason why it's so high up on this list, one, because it's memorable. I mean, you can't really forget the scale, for lack of better wording, on this look. 1, 2, Vanjie looks like someone else. And I think when you look at a queen and you can see them in something that they wouldn't normally wear, they've challenged themselves to really go out of the box and go out of what's the norm for them, I think that's worthy of being praised. So that's why she's so high up. And finally, in the number 1 slot is Yvie Oddly's finale look from The Crowning. This was so fascinating for a lot of different reasons. This print is ugly. Let's be so honest, with the eyeballs everywhere. And then this chocolatey mocha brown in what appears to be something like a tablecloth fabric. I can't tell what it is. It looks like satin. It's ugly. Everything about this is ugly, but somehow it works really well with the interesting princess seaming that changes to that, with the spaghetti strap, having a little bit of nude illusion on the bodice, up to this really graphic, interesting mirror that I don't think anybody would have ever thought about doing. Yvie looks freaking cool. Again, we're using that buzzword because she does. Yvie just makes fashion look cool. And this is such an odd silhouette for this type of gown. It doesn't really have a lot of structure at the bottom. The way that the princess seam is very different than what you would normally see. It's curved rather than straight lines. Then you've got this really ugly print and this really ugly color that are so contrasting with the silver that is coming off of the reflective material, everything about it shouldn't work, and yet it's brilliant. It's taking all of these weird things, putting them together, and just having a cohesive thought. And that is what Evie has always done a really great job at, and that's why I love this. It's unexpected and it's memorable. I don't think anyone could pull this off except for Evie Oddly, and going with all the styling to kind of the bloody eyes, everything about this is so perfectly her. It wraps up her journey on Drag Race, and it makes a statement. And what I want from fashion is for it to make a statement, and that's what she did. And with that, that has been all of my favorite looks from season 11 of Drag Race. What were some of your favorite looks? And again, please be kind if your favorite queen did not make it on here. It doesn't mean that I think that her drag is garbage. I just think that these ones were better. Take care of yourselves and see you on the flip. Hey, thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, make sure to click that like button. And if you want to see more, hit subscribe. Goodbye.